Indeed, as the South African government, we believe that it is only when we work together that we'll be able to move not just South Africa forward, Africa and the world. My dear brothers and sisters, at the core of our vision for Africa is a connected continent where every village, every woman, every man, and every child has access to education, entertainment, and knowledge via broadband connectivity. It is, however, very important that the satellite community addresses the issue of high bandwidth cost when providing broadband services to a large number of users. You have seen in my country there's lots of groups and people who are demanding access to communication through the Data Must Fall campaign. Therefore, it's imperative that we look into that, and as government, we have a responsibility to respond, and when we respond, we've got to respond positively. The challenges of lack of connectivity and low tele densities, particularly in the rural areas of Africa, are acute and exacerbate the digital divide. Therefore, policy interventions and enabling regulatory framework, as the panel was referring to, legislation and collective efforts are needed to build the information society and a knowledge economy in Africa in order to achieve improved socio-economic development and modernized standards of living. South Africa, too, has a well-developed space program. To date, we have procured launches for 5 satellites. There are also plans to put an Earth observation satellite into service in the next few years. Satellite communications form an integral part of the broader national space program, with the Department of Telecommunications and Postal Services being the lead government department in this regard.
Well, our input firstly is to appreciate the platform. They're now celebrating 20 years of AfricaCom in existence, but most importantly it's the platform that brings all different stakeholders that showcase their work in the satellite division or platform. Therefore, for us, it helps so that we're able to know who's who in the zoo, but most importantly, we're able to create partnerships and expose our own stakeholders as Africa to those international guests that are here. Of course, as government, we preach one thing, that we have to work together in order to realize the targets and see the meaningful participation economically and socially. Therefore, ours is to say, yes, we see there's lots of interventions, but we also concerned as government for the fact that Africa only has 5 satellites that we're talking about. We have to call upon all stakeholders to make sure that Africa increases its own capacity. Like in South Africa, we have said there is a need for us to develop a local or a domestic satellite for communications in our country. The fortunate thing is that the South African government here, through its cabinet, has taken a decision that it's high time that South Africa develop its domestic satellite, as I said earlier. Therefore, it mandated 3 departments, being the Department of Science and Technology, my department, which is Department of Telecoms, to look on the communication side, and then DTI, to ensure that we tap into the space of what are the opportunities that are there, but most importantly, how can we make sure that we build the capacity internally?